I have here with me two IEMs, similar in design as well as the driver configuration. The only difference is the tuning. So let's find out how different can they actually be. Hey audiophiles, it's Ian here from Headphone Zone. Today I have here with me the Truth-Ear Zero and the Zero Red. It's probably the most popular IEM as well as the most confusing one from Truth-Ear. A lot of you guys have questions like, is there any difference between the two apart from the color, or is it just a big gimmick? Well, we're here to find out. Now, for the sake of convenience, I'm going to refer to the Project Reds as Zero Red and the Truth-Ear Zero as the Zero Blue. So you'll find that the unboxing experience between both of this is going to be absolutely identical. You have 6 pairs of ear tips, and those are silicon, as well as a pair of foam tips in the box. Also, you'll get a 4-strand silver-plated cable with both of these IEMs and Truth-Ear's soft carry case, which is common now on most of the Truth-Ear IEMs apart from the Truth-Ear Hola. The only major difference is that with the Truth-Ear Zero Red, you get a 10 ohm impedance adapter. We'll talk about it more in the sound section. Now, initially, I thought the Reds were a lot nicer looking in terms of the blues, but having both of them side by side and just going back and forth between the two, I think both of them have their own charm. And this is super personal, so depending on your personal taste, you may find one better than the other. Regardless, you'll find that the build quality on both of them is identical. You had these nice rounded design and a lightweight resin material. So when you have them in your ears, they don't feel too fatiguing to listen for a long time. I personally found that the medium-sized silicon ear tips gave me the best isolation and fit for a long while. But as I said, you have 6 pairs of ear tips in the box, and if you don't find those comfortable, you always have a pair of foam tips to fall back on. Hands down, I think the most interesting part about both of these IEMs is the way that they are tuned. You'll find under the hood, both of these IEMs use a dual dynamic driver. However, personally, I found that the sound signatures on them are slightly different. You see, the blues have a tendency to sound a little bit towards the V-shaped sound signature. Now that means that the bass and the treble is going to be a bit more pronounced, whereas that mid-range can be a bit recessed. The Reds, on the other hand, are more balanced. So you'll find that natural kind of nuance and timbre comes out a bit better compared to the blues. If you're someone who prefers a good amount of punch in the low end, you'll find that the Zero Blues are going to be perfect for you. There's a good amount of low end, especially in that mid-bass area, but the bass does roll off pretty fast. So you'll find that there's good amounts of bass, but probably in terms of the bass texture and extension, it's not as good. Well, you'll find that the Reds do that exactly. You have better extension of the bass, it feels a lot more snappier and tighter. If you're someone who finds that the bass response on the Reds are not as per your liking, you can use the 10 ohm impedance adapter in the box. Doing so will add a few decibels in the low end and hopefully elevate your listening experience. Now, while I was aiming both of these IEMs, I felt that the mid-range on the blues is probably the place where this IEM suffers the most. Because of the V-shaped sound signature, the mid-range seems a bit off, where vocals and instruments seem like they've taken a bit of a backseat compared to your regular music experience. You'll find on the Reds, Truth-Ear have tried to aim it closer to the Harman target, and in doing so, they've achieved a sound signature which makes the mid-range a lot more pronounced. So you'll find that subtle nuances and timbre is really a lot more improved on the Reds compared to the blues. And if you're someone who likes better vocal presentation, I think between the two, you should be sticking with the Reds. For those of you who have seen my other IEM reviews, you'll know that personally, I like when the trebles are slightly rolled off because of that listening fatigue which can set in. With the Reds, you'll find that you don't have those peaky trebles. It's a little bit more smoothened out and more up my alley. With the blues, you have slight peaks around the 2K and 6K range, making it a bit more sparkly. However, I don't think so it's that fatiguing compared to some of the KZs and CCA IEMs. So personally, if you like a bit of treble sparkle, I think you may enjoy the blues a bit more. Now, when it comes to soundstage, I'm going to be honest, I wasn't particularly impressed with the Reds or the blues in this segment. I feel like I've heard better. But if I had to pick one between the two, I think the Red has a slight advantage in terms of soundstage for the music that I was testing with. Because of the V-shaped sound signature on the blues and that mid-range which takes a bit of a seat back, you'll find that it doesn't seem as immersive and not really engaging to listen to in terms of soundstage perspective compared to the Reds. So you'll find that even though both of these IEMs look and almost have the same driver setup, you'll find that they're tuned for two different audiences. Me personally, I find that the Reds are more up my alley when it comes to just listening to music, But I know, speaking to a lot of you guys out there on the Indian Audiophile Forum or at our Headphone Connect events, that you all enjoy the blues more when it comes to gaming. It's probably because of that engaging low end as well as that sparkly treble, which kind of gives you a bit more kick in terms of in-game experience. Now, regardless of which IEM you go for, you'll find that tuning the IEM as per your liking will really help you. You can achieve this by either using the 10 ohm impedance adapter, or if you're using the blues or even the red for matter of fact, you can always play around with the EQ to kind of customize it to your preference. I find that that always helps and you don't have to stay with the stock setting. So that's going to do it for this video. I hope any confusion you had about the reds versus the zero has now been cleared. And more importantly, you understand how crucial tuning of an IEM can be rather than just the number or the type of drivers being used. As always, if you want to try any of these IEMs, you're most welcome to come here to our experience studio in Mumbai or catch us at one of our Headphone Connect events happening in a city near you.